Hello, and welcome to another episode of Now About That with James and Sarah. I'm James,
And I'm Sarah.
and on this week's episode, we're going to do some catching up, and then we'll take a look at some Reddit questions and answer some Reddit questions. So, just as a kind of precursor, these are questions that I found on Reddit. We're just going to take a look at them. Some of them are asking for advice. Some of them are, it's not really a question, it's a confession. I figured we could read it and talk about it a little bit. And then
Okay.
the last couple of questions are more like philosophical questions where
Mhm.
it's asking like a what would you do type of thing. So I thought it would be fun.
Mhm.
But first, we'll do a quick catch up. So how's it going, Sarah?
It goes. I got my new bed frame, so my mattress is no longer on the floor.
That's exciting. But is it still an air mattress? Or is it an
No,
actual mattress? Oh,
it's
that's
an
good.
actual mattress. I'm very excited. I put it together all by myself,
Only
but
lost two of the pieces.
and then found them. But I overdid it, so I made myself sick, as you do. Let's see. The only thing is that I need to put something on the bottom so that it doesn't move because I don't have carpet in my room.
Oh yeah.
So every time I move, my whole bed moves.
Oh, I was gonna say they don't really have, there's something called like museum wax
Mm.
where you can like stick it to something and it'll kind of cement it in place, but it's easy to remove too.
Uh,
Like they
yeah, I'm
use
gonna have
it
to look into something like that.
they use it for stuff like pictures and statues and stuff that you can put on like your table and so it doesn't move if there's like an earthquake or something.
Oh, that makes sense. My I was gonna say my assistant manager put in his 2 weeks. I don't know if I mentioned that in our last episode.
Yeah, I think you talked about it last time. What was that noise?
What noise?
Like I hear a rumbling in your background.
Oh, my phone.
No,
I
it's
have it
still
on vibrate.
no, it's still doing it.
Oh, it's still doing it?
Yeah,
Oh,
like it comes in and out.
oh, I don't know. You might be hearing my fan, maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Anyways,
So yeah, that's still ongoing. This is his last week. This next
Oof.
week. So I'm just like panicking.
that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
What
I
about you?
I got a new coffee maker, which was exciting. I got
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a Ninja coffee maker, and you can make the full. It comes with a metal carafe, so you can make a full carafe, a half carafe, or you can make single cups too.
Mm.
So it's exciting. I'm happy. I'm excited.
Hey, as long as you're happy and you're excited, that's all that matters.
And then
Okay.
today, I went and took my iPad and my iPhone 12 Pro Max and traded it in. And they gave me two gift cards, one for $400 and one for $325.
Nice.
And, but before that, I spent $400 on my car.
Well,
I had to get the oil changed. And then they were like, oh, by the way, you need a new battery, because your battery is only producing like 30% of the power it should be. So if you're have you noticed any issues with starting it? I was like, no, not even at nothing. It starts perfectly fine. You're like, well, here's what it's running at. Here's what it should be running at. So we recommend you replace it. Okay, whatever. And then I needed new windshield wipers, so they just did that too. It was just it was like $401 and a couple cents or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Initially just went in for an oil change, but hey.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, I don't think I told you, but I took my car in and they looked at it and they told me all this stuff this was on Wednesday. They told me all the stuff that the Firestone place where I took it to get my oil change told me. But then they also said, you need this flex pipe replaced because it's damaged and that's what's causing the loud noise that you're hearing whenever it's running. So I'm not crazy. And then the issue with my air conditioner, they said it's nothing that we could have broken. It's a control arm or something inside the dash that directs the air flap to go in the different directions. And to get those two things fixed, $1,700.
Dear God.
And they have to order the pieces. So I'm like, well, let me talk to my warranty and see if that's something that is covered under my warranty. Otherwise, I can't really do it right now.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of money.
And I don't think it is covered because there's something in my. So I'm kind of annoyed with my warranty. So it's like I paid $4,000 for this warranty and it's not covering really anything. And it's one of the things that is the exception that it says it won't cover is anything to do with the exhaust. And this is part of the exhaust system.
I don't understand why it wouldn't cover anything having to do with the exhaust. The exhaust is important to the car.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm worried in August what's gonna happen whenever I go to do I have to get my car inspected, because that's the thing here. You have to get your car inspected and they're gonna look at it and see that that's damaged and tell me I probably need to have it replaced. Although I guess I could probably get it replaced in a couple months. It's fine. It is what it is. So
yeah, but it's still aggravating.
Yeah, I mean, it's aggravating because when I took it to them in December, I could have paid for it in December and gotten it fixed and taken care of. But instead, I did a lot of other stuff because they said it was fixed, even though it really wasn't. It's very frustrating. So, do you want to take a look at some of these questions and maybe even answer a couple of them?
Oh wow, we're gonna answer these.
Yeah, I did create a Now About That Pod Reddit page, or not Reddit page, Reddit account.
Yes, I remember you telling me about this. I'm very excited about it.
All right, so the first one, it says, my coworker said to me, you've gained a lot of weight since working here. You used to be so tiny and skinny. I don't know what to do or how to feel. I've been in recovery for a year now, and now I don't want to eat my lunch. Help.
Oh, they've been in recovery from like an eating disorder?
Maybe. It doesn't say that. It just says I've been in recovery.
Well, first of all, nobody should be commenting on your weight.
Yeah.
I like this first comment that says, you used to be kind and mind your own business, but here we are.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, that's inappropriate. Don't say anything to somebody about their weight. Like, just tell somebody that they look good, or, or keep it to yourself.
Right. I mean, my question, and not really a question, but my thing would be, how do you feel about your weight? And are you comfortable with how you look and how you feel? Are you healthy? If the answer to those questions are yes, then it doesn't, like, this person's opinion doesn't matter. And if you can, I would just avoid them and like eat lunch away from them.
Yeah. Eat your lunch. Don't let anybody prevent you from taking care of your body. Like, you need to eat to take care of yourself. People are so fucking rude.
I mean, I'm assuming when the person says that they're in recovery, they do mean that they're gaining weight because they had an eating disorder in the past. So that's kind of sad. But I mean, the person that commented, this isn't an excuse, but I'm saying the person that commented and said this may not have known that they had an eating disorder. But that's one reason why you have to be careful with what you say to people, because you never know what someone's going through. So back off.
Yeah, unless you have like a super established relationship, like a friendship outside of work, don't be making comments like that. Those are very personal comments and you don't need to be making them.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Speaking of eating disorders, this next one, dear God.
Do you want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah. So there's a trigger warning for mention of physical abuse and eating disorders. I'm currently in college in the country I've lived in all my life. I still live with my parents, as it takes me 30 minutes by car on the highway or an hour and 20 minutes by train to get to my university campus. So it's great for me to live at home. My parents buy groceries and cook. I have my room. Laundry is easy and I don't have to pay anything. However, I've struggled all my life with abuse. Since I was a child, I've been hit, yelled at, physically punished, and publicly humiliated by my parents, especially my mom. I've developed an eating disorder because my mom would either force me to eat or call me fat and other names at meal times. Still today, I cannot eat any meal with my parents. It makes me feel sick. Their abuse sort of stopped once I turned to 18. They only kept yelling at me, but they didn't touch me anymore. This is why I thought I'd be okay to keep living with them while going to uni. However, since I started uni, they've been trying to control every aspect of my life, choosing who I can go out with, what classes to take, etc. And more recently, the physical abuse has restarted. Lost my voice. What is making me question whether I should leave or not is the fact that my mom switches her personality and behavior very fast. Just a few days ago, she kept hitting me and yelling at me, and later that evening, she asked me to go shopping with her like nothing had happened and was even, quote unquote, sweet enough to buy me my favorite snacks. And me, like an idiot, always hope that means she's getting better and that she's regretting hitting me. My friends all urge me to leave, but I don't know how I'll manage. My parents still pay for my phone bill, my medical bills, and my medicine. I don't have a lot of money saved, and I haven't found a job yet. Should I leave or should I stay, at least until I'm more financially secure? Too long, didn't read. Living with my parents has some advantages. They, however, abuse me physically and mentally. Should I leave from their house?
Short answer, yes.
Yeah. Long, slightly more complicated answer is yes. But you're gonna have to unfortunately do a lot of work to get out of there.
Yeah.
I personally would reach out to different organizations, shelters, friends, other family members, to see if there's a way for you to go and stay with them, or what you can do. It kind of depends on the country, but a lot of countries have resources for people who are going through abuse at home to help them escape, because getting out of an abusive situation is always the most dangerous aspect of an abusive situation. So I would look into what resources might be available in your country to help you.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. It's a sad situation, and I mean, you're 20 years old, so you can technically move out. There's nothing aside from all of the bills that your parents are paying for you. I know sometimes it feels like you can't move, or you can't stay, or you can't leave because of the situation and the fact that you can't really maintain the bills that you have personally. And it sounds like because you have maybe medical problems and medicine that you have to continue taking, it might be harder for it to happen. But if it's physical abuse, then I mean, really, there's nothing that should be holding you back. And you might even look into with your medical portion of it, see if there's programs or something for your medical as well to help you like pay for anything, like any doctor's visits and medication that you need that's required for you to continue living. Because that's anytime physical abuse is included in the situation, you need to leave as soon as possible, because it's just going to get worse or escalate.
Yeah, that's true. It does escalate, and the thing is that it's super, super scary to try to leave a physically abusive situation, because you're scared that they're going to come and continue to physically harm you once you've escaped. But it's still important to try to get out of there. Oof. You picked
that one was a difficult one. Yeah. So the next one says, what the F is wrong with my... I feel like there should be my mother. With me, I think it should be me, just based on what it says. I, 16 male, don't know what the F is wrong with me. My mother just died and I don't have any emotions. I want to cry, but I can't. When my grandpa and my grandma died a few years back, I didn't feel anything too. I don't know what's wrong with me. Help. Please help. I mean, and there's a lot of comments that already say, sorry for your loss, but people deal with grief differently. And just because you're not crying doesn't mean that you don't feel grief. I 100% believe that. And I'm going to do this thing, and I said it in the last episode, where if something's uncomfortable and I don't know what to say, I make jokes. First of all, you're 16. You should be writing better than this, because there's no punctuation. There's a lot of misspellings. I think.
Wow.
I think the fact that you're crying has a lot. There's other issues.
Oh my God.
The fact that you're not crying because someone close to you passed away is the least of your concerns.
Wow.
But for the actual question, yeah, I mean, everyone deals with grief differently.
It's true. I remember feeling extremely numb when one of my relatives died, which could be something that you're experiencing. Like, it's just the numbness of it all, because things hit a certain point where everything's just too overwhelming and your brain's just like, all right, that's it. We're done with this. So, if it were me, I would seek some counseling, because that's traumatic to lose a parent at that young of an age. And it's something that can help develop healthier coping skills, so that you feel like you're able to express your grief in appropriate ways.
Yeah, I think reaching out to someone and talking to someone about it is a great way. I don't know that Reddit is the best option, but definitely reach out to someone and talk to someone. Because that's rough, especially at 16, losing your mother. I don't know if it was sudden and it just happened, or if there was illness included and you saw it coming, so you had maybe a little bit more time to actually get used to the fact that she's not going to be there anymore.
Right.
But it's difficult. Yeah.
Grief is also an ongoing process. So just because you're not crying right now, or exhibiting quote unquote proper grief now, doesn't mean that that's not going to happen later.
Yeah. Go ahead and read the next one.
Yep. All right. Can't figure out where I should move. All right. Well,
this one's a little more lighthearted.
This one's a little more lighthearted. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Long story short, broke up with my partner. Oh wait, hold on, wait. I want to go back for just a second. Why were you censoring yourself when you were reading that last quote?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm over here like, fuck this, fuck that. You're like, F this. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Long story short, broke up with my partner, moved home with my parents, and now I can't make a decision to save my life. Options are move back to NYC, where I lived before moving home, move to Boston, best friend moved there and family lives there, find another city to live. I work from home, I'm in my early 30s and a male, I don't drink, and I like to have a car. So you don't have a car right now? Money is not a problem for me. I'd like to date, do outdoorsy stuff like hiking and water sports, socialize, and meet new people. Can someone help me make this decision so I can start moving on with my life? Well, I honestly, this is gonna sound like I'm just plugging the place that I live, but Austin sounds like the place, since money's not a problem and he likes outdoorsy stuff. There's a lot of hiking and water sports here. And the dating scene, I don't like the dating scene, but that's because I'm, a non-binary person who's AFAB. So the dating scene for me isn't so great, but the dating scene for men is great.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and there aren't very many people asking or answering this one, so that's totally fine. I think for me, it kind of depends on what you want to do. So, I mean, yeah, you say you work from home, you're in your early 30s, you don't drink. I like to have a car. Boston's probably not the best place to have a car. If you move to Boston or New York City, those are not really the best places to have a car.
Right.
So those, I mean, it's okay. You can always move to somewhere like outside of Boston or a suburb of Boston or New York City, and then that way you have a car, but you can take the train into the city if you want to. But I would definitely not, if that's one of the things that you like to have and you want moving to a big city like that, unless you're willing to pay for and sit through pay for the parking and then sit through the terrible traffic that is in Boston and New York City, then it's probably not the best option. Moving to a place where there's a lot more parking and the ability to actually, I mean, technically I would move to California, especially if you're into outdoorsy stuff like hiking and water sports, because California, that's like a year-round thing where you can do all those things. So somewhere that makes sense for you. It's like if LA is not your thing, don't move to LA. Malibu's expensive. I mean, money is no option. I need to understand what you mean by money is no option. Money is not a problem.
Yeah. I take that as he's set financially, in which case I'm extremely jealous. I would love to be set financially so that, debating on moving to New York City is an option. I say as I sit in my rented room in somebody else's house.
Yeah, I do like what the other Sarah that answered already says. Lived in both Boston and New York City. If you want a car, go to Boston or the outer boroughs of NYC. Boston is closer driving-wise to hiking trails and mountains surrounding Mount Washington, and probably has more outdoorsy people. I don't know which water sports you are referring to, but water is very accessible from NYC and Boston. Both are good for socializing and are roughly the same living expenses wise. I don't know if that's true, but you should make a pros and cons list for both NYC and Boston. You could also research cities that you are curious about. The other thing I would say is, it looks like the person might be pretty set on the East Coast, but look on the West Coast, because like there's always like Seattle, and it also depends on like what your life scene you want to do. So like, or what your lifestyle is. Do you like to go out? Do you like to go to bars? Who are you looking for? Like what kind of community
Right.
are you looking for? As in, I mean, you say you broke up with your partner, so if you're looking for another partner, I don't know what you mean by partner. Like I refer to Ryan as my partner. So it depends on what your lifestyle is.
Yeah.
I'm always suggesting California because I miss California and I would move back out there in a heartbeat if I could.
Yeah, no, that's fair and reasonable. I also miss California. But I've actually become pretty happy living where I am in Texas. So,
That's good.
the politics suck, but
Yeah. I mean, Rhode Island, it's okay. It's not, I mean, it's not Indiana, so that's a plus, but I miss California a lot.
yeah, that's fair. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this next one is a confession.
Yeah. I told you they weren't all questions. This one's let's read it and talk it out because it's kind of funny.
Oh my god. It says for suicidal users above it
Where?
at the very top under posts. It says for suicidal users.
Oh, I think that's like you can click on it and it has links to places. Sarah, don't laugh about that. It's a confession, Reddit confession, our confession. Okay, so this is the post. It's when I was 11, I purposely messed up my friend's school project, and I never got caught. We had this project we had to make for science class on Prezi and on Prezi.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either. And two friends sat next to me while making it. This was before people were given Chromebooks or iPads or whatever, and we had to actually sit in a room with just computer monitors and share one. I was partnered with another girl, and my two best friends at the time were paired right next to me. I looked over their shoulder one time and saw the password to their Prezi account. It sounds like it's a software or something
Like
they use for their.
It's
Yeah.
probably Prezi.
And just memorized it. When I got home that day, I logged in and just completely wrecked it, and I don't know why I did it. I deleted their pictures and notes and just drew all over it. My two friends were never directly mean to me besides just leaving me out of a few things. But looking back, I guess I had a lot going on in my home life and was just really messing with my head. And that was just really messing with my head. And I wanted to take my anger out somewhere and ruin someone else's day. Not that that's even a remotely valid excuse. The next day, obviously, the principal and the teachers were notified their account got hacked. My teacher questioned me briefly and I just denied it, and they didn't press me further. I guess I was suspected for it because a few weeks after this incident, my mother was yelling at me over something else, and she suddenly implied I did this Prezi fiasco. The teachers or principal never mentioned calling my mother, so I really don't know how else my mother could have found out. Maybe it was my friend's mom. My two friends got an extension for the assignment. I never knew why I did it, honestly. I don't know why I destroyed their weeks full of work, but it was a really shitty thing for me to do, and I never got to apologize for it, afraid I'll be in big trouble, rightfully so. And the fact that I did it so nonchalantly makes me think that there was something wrong with me during that age. I guess I thought I was slick and cool for some reason. I don't know, but it didn't take me long to realize what an asshole I am for doing it. I mean, at least you had the realization that it wasn't okay after.
Yeah, I like the first comment that says you learn fire's hot by getting burned. You learn compassion by being shitty and then feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's really an asshole thing to do. But also, you're 11, have no like long-term thinking skills or anything like that.
I don't know how long ago this happened, but they could have actually technically, if they wanted to, go back and look at the what is it called, IP address of the computer that accessed it, and then trace it back to whoever did it.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to go that far, but it sounds like they were just like, it's fine, we'll just move on.
Give them an extension and start over.
Yeah.
That would be so frustrating though. Can you imagine being that person going and opening up your folder and everything's destroyed and gone?
Also, does this software not have a way to go back to a previous version of the document? I mean, everything. I had somebody do that, not that, but something similar to an Excel spreadsheet I was working on at work, where they went in and accidentally wrote over, wow, someone else's information. So I just went back to the previous version of it and um, merged the two together and moved it over to where they needed to. So I mean, technically, if they were if they were smart enough, they could have just, if it was version controlled, they could have gone back to a previous version.
Right.
But I mean, it sounds like you learned your lesson and you realized there was something wrong with you that you needed to deal with, and hopefully you were able to deal with it.
Yeah. Hopefully you won't do stuff like that again.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to take a quick break and then we'll come back and do the other three questions that we have?
Yeah.
The other three, and one of them is it's locked now, so we can't even comment on it. But the other three are more like existential questions. So when we come back, we'll dive into our other questions.
Okie dokie.
All right. And welcome back. So we have three more questions we're going to go through, and then I'm going to read kind of what we wrote for the other questions, and then post them. This next one is one that we actually can't respond to because it's been locked by the moderators of this specific Reddit list. So we'll just talk through it. It says, what are your thoughts on having children while not fiscally stable? I mean, I'll start off by saying I think I've made my thoughts on having children clear. I don't think children are necessary for you to be valuable in life. So if
that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, unless like I just don't think it makes sense.
I love children. And I think that if you're in a position where you're able to actually plan out having a kiddo, you should absolutely wait until you're financially secure. Or as financially secure as one can be nowadays. My main reasoning for this is that growing up in poverty fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I did that.
I think, I mean, to me, if financially stable is kind of it's a, like, what is your definition of financially stable?
Yeah.
If you're questioning whether you can pay your bills or you're having issues paying your bills, then it doesn't make sense to have children because you aren't going to be able to financially support them. And children are expensive because it's not like there's more food, there's doctor visits, there's the extra healthcare costs, there's the school stuff and everything you have to pay for the school. There's just a lot of things, and even just birthing a child is expensive now. And if you don't have the right insurance, then it can be very expensive for you. I think someone said something the other day. It was like triplets cost like over $150,000 to have
in the United States. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well,
if you don't live in the United States,
I was gonna say that also depends on where you live. If you don't live in the United States, it might be easier.
Yeah. I know that South Korea, it's a lot easier. It's a lot cheaper to have a baby. In places where you have socialized healthcare, it's a lot easier to have a baby. But I think my thought process is don't have a baby if you live in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, I think it also comes down to you're probably never actually ready to have a baby, but plan as much as you can.
Yeah.
But I would always say stick with not having children. Do you want to look at the next question?
Yes. All right. What toxic behavior has been normalized by society? Oh my God.
I told you these ones were very much.
You picked this one because of me, didn't you?
No.
I also love that it's under the ask men when men perpetuate so much toxic behavior. I love men so much, but y'all, ugh. Anyway, toxic behaviors that have been normalized by society. Treating children like they're not actually people is one toxic behavior. And let's see.
So what do you mean by that?
like there's a lot of people out here at in the world today who treat children like they aren't human beings. They expect them to behave and act a specific way without taking into account that so much of the world is brand new and overwhelming, and they're children and therefore don't have the coping skills or the understanding of what's going on around them to be able to handle things like an adult would. And a lot of adults act like children should be behaving a specific way and not taking any of that into account. Like, for example, yelling at your child in public is not okay. Yelling at your child, period, isn't okay, but like specifically yelling at your child in public or publicly humiliating them, like a lot of parents now tend to do, like recording their children while they're punishing them and things like that. That's become like a very normalized thing that happens a lot. That's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, you're not teaching your child anything other than to be afraid of you. But secondly, if that's not something that you would be doing with another adult, then why the fuck are you doing it to a child?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm trying to think toxic behavior. I mean, when I think about it, I think of work related stuff. So for work, it's like working on the weekends or living to work, not working to live.
Yeah, that has
that type of
been
thing
normalized.
Especially in a capitalist society like the United States, working to live and not living to work, not working to live. I mean, yeah. I'm kind of bad about that anyways, because I do work a lot and I'm always on my phone or checking my email or answering instant messages at like 9 o'clock in the evening or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a toxic behavior, but something that I don't like it is this belief that men should be solely fiscally responsible for dates. And I think that can be turned into a toxic behavior, because then I know that there are women out there who will take advantage of that. Like, you know, oh, well, I'm going on a date. Of course he's going to pay. And, you know, so I'm gonna, you know, order expensive or whatever. But then also the toxic mindset of, well, if I pay for this date, then I deserve something in return.
Yeah. I mean, I look at that, not the second part of that, but the first part of that, of who's going to pay for the date. I always look at it as not, is it a man asking a woman, or it's, I mean, especially for me, because I mean, I'm a homosexual, so it would be a man asking another man. For me, it's whoever initiated the date is the one that should be not expected, but should be willing to pay for it if you're not planning on going Dutch. Which, I shouldn't have said that. That's a really, apparently that's a very derogatory term towards the Dutch people that was developed by other European cultures like the England, and they would say it because they see the Dutch people as cheap. So instead of saying we're splitting the bill, they would say we're going Dutch to put the Dutch people down.
Wow, did not know that.
I heard that the other day. I was like, oh, geez, okay.
I mean, I always wondered why we called it that, but okay. Another thing I have to remove from my vocabulary.
Right? I can't remember where I heard that from. I think it may have been on, what podcast was that? It was either, what podcast was that? Oh, it was that Help I Sexted My Boss. They talked about it. Yeah, it was very interesting.
I love that name so much.
I know. It's such a fun podcast too. I like Jordan and William, and then executive producer Ben. They're so fun to listen to.
I love that.
But to me, it kind of all boils down to, if you are asking someone out on a date, I would expect to pay for it, unless you have the conversation beforehand that is, oh, by the way, that even though this is a date, you're going to pay for we're going to split it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's also another thing that's kind of toxic, is just like making assumptions prior to the date. Like, just have a conversation. If you're going on a date with somebody, like, we're adults, have a conversation. Like, hey, this, like, I always try to be upfront before when I was dating people, besides Nick, where I would be like, if somebody asked me out on a date, I just always assume that I'm going to pay for myself. So if I can't afford to pay for myself, I'm not going to agree to go on a date.
Right.
So I would always be upfront and be like, hey, I appreciate the offer, but unfortunately, I really don't have the money right now and I can't afford it. And then if they follow up with, oh, well, I was planning on taking care of it, then that's one thing. But, if they're like, oh, okay, well, no biggie, we can do something else, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
rule of thumb, never go on a date if you can't afford to pay for yourself.
Right. Or have the conversation beforehand.
Exactly.
And maybe they'll change the type of date that they're going on. Like maybe instead of going to dinner, you guys go for coffee and like a bookstore or something and read.
Yeah. Or go to the park. Like, just chill.
All right. Last question that we're going to talk about. You are elected president of Earth. It's not really a thing, but okay. What is your first executive order?
Okay, I'm very curious to hear yours first.
My first executive order?
Yes.
I don't even know, honestly. It would probably be something to do with like something about this is going to sound terrible, something about a very higher punishment for animal cruelty charges.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh no, okay, I got it. This one's better. Having to be able to
see the look on his face.
Having to be able to pass a test to have children. Like if there are certain things that you don't know in life, then you shouldn't be having children. But there also needs to be, like, in addition to that, it's like if you don't pass the test, there's a program that you have to go into. If you really want to have children, here are the things that they're going to give you the tools to learn those.
Okay, I like that part. I'm always torn because, like, on the one hand, that line of thinking often comes from a eugenicist point of view. That's one of the things that a lot of eugenicists push, is like, well, everybody should have to test to be able to have kids, that kind of thing. But I think the other thing is that it's not feasible.
Yeah.
Like, people, unless you're watching people have sex all the time.
I guess on a more like feasibility standpoint, it would be so there's kind of two parts to this. Requiring the same type of insurance you have to own a car to own a gun, and requiring regular training / testing where you have to like pass a psych exam. You also have to be able to discuss like the safety requirements for owning a gun, how to clean your gun, maintain your gun, and then there's like specific things that you have to prove that you have done, like you have a gun safe that has a combination or a lock to where only certain people can get to it.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's one of the first two are they were kind of stupid, but like that's one that I think makes sense. But that's also like that's a really United States problem more than anything.
Yeah, that's definitely a US problem. But I mean, I still think that that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're talking about like gun safety and things like that, I think that guns should be just as regulated as cars in that aspect.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see anything unreasonable with that, honestly. If I was elected president of Earth, you know what? This is gonna sound stupid. Okay, so because I'm elected president of Earth, my first executive order is everybody has to be nice to each other.
Well, I think that's a subjective requirement.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
my nice is different from your nice, is different from other people's nice. So I mean, technically you could say everyone right now is nice to people, but other people might not understand what nice means. So
I don't know about your nice.
That's a little too subjective, Sarah.
I think that's not quite as subjective as you think it is, sir.
I think it is. It has to be a little bit more in depth than just be nice to everybody. I like this person's response, the chill the fuck out clause.
Yes. I honestly, I think I would just make education free.
Yeah. Which
because,
in some places it is, so.
Yeah. Just
Again,
like,
that's the United States. It's more of a United States problem than some other places in the world.
just across the board, since I'm president of the whole earth, across the board, education is free.
Yeah. Have you read some of these answers? This
Oh my
person
God.
says, form a team who investigates why I became president of Earth.
Ah,
I would
I
call
agree.
mine the what the fuck are you people thinking team.
I love that. I agree with this one that says mandatory childhood development
Yeah.
classes. Like, especially if you're considering having children, like, yeah, for sure.
But I think that goes like there has to be this is the issue where it's like there has to be a curriculum for it, and
Hmm.
then who creates the curriculum is where it kind of messes it up, because some people's childhood development, or I guess if it's all about like how certain things impact a child's development, then that makes sense. But it can't be like something about what am I trying to say? It can't dictate like how you raise a child, because
Right.
that's up to a person's personal thinking. Okay. Do you have anything else to add? Do you want to go back and read through some of the responses I concocted while we were talking?
I just want to say that I agree with these two posts. This one from Dunder the Barbarian, who said free insulin for whoever needs it.
No, I saw that the other
And
day too.
this person called Strange and Unusual with a capital I at the end. This also free tacos. So I just wanted it noted for the record that I agree with them. Free insulin and free tacos. But yes, continue. What are our responses to?
So for the first one about the coworker that said they gained weight, it says, so the response says, first of all, no one should be commenting on your weight, and unless you have a super personal relationship with this person outside of work, I would avoid them while you are at work. If you are comfortable with your weight and healthy, then that's all that matters. If the issues continue, let them know how their words are making you feel and ask them not to comment on your body. If it continues, report it to your HR department, but also keep track of every time you ask them to stop.
Yeah, for sure.
Now about that pod hosts, James and Sarah. Comment. All right. And then for the next one that was about the abusive parents, I didn't write that much in here, but I did write a little bit. Said I personally would reach out to organizations, friends, or family members to see if they are willing to let you stay with them in the meantime, and look into what resources are available in your country for rehousing and your medical care. Is there anything else you want to add?
I mean, it might be difficult, but yeah, definitely just reaching out to organizations that help people who are in abusive situations.
Yeah. And then for the next one, the what the fuck is wrong with me, says me. So I said, sorry for your loss, first of all. Like a lot of the commenters have already said, everyone experiences grief differently. Maybe your brain has just become numb, and that is the way you are coping with the grief. Reach out to someone you trust, or talk to a therapist, and make sure you are taking care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with the way that you are dealing with your grief.
Yeah, I agree. I just remembered that there was a post that I was reading on Twitter that was screenshots from Reddit that I wanted to mention on the podcast today. Hold on one second. It was an Am I the Asshole? Which obviously this person is very much the asshole. Like very, very much the asshole. I'm learning that I like too many things on Twitter.
You? Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, be careful, because whatever you like on Twitter also goes into your feed.
Yes, I know. I'm not out here liking porn. I mean, I am, but Anyway, all right. So it's, am I the asshole for not taking my daughters when my ex gave birth? Okay. So my ex-wife, Emma, and my wife, Lara, were pregnant around the same time. Laura was about 10 weeks ahead of Emma. In November, Laura gave birth to our son a few days after his due date. 3 days after he and Laura came home, I received a panic call from my sister-in-law asking if I could take my daughters, who are 9-year-old twins, as Emma had been taken to the hospital the night before and was being taken for a C-section. Sister-in-law and my brother had taken the girls in overnight but weren't able to take them for long due to a lack of space as they have 4 children themselves. Sister-in-law said that Emma was looking at a minimum of 5 days in the hospital and then the baby would need to stay in hospital for a while. The baby came home just before Christmas. I told my sister-in-law that we couldn't take the girls because we had just had our son and we were wanting to spend the time just bonding as a family of 3. That's a first red flag. Sister-in-law angrily told me that having my new son didn't cancel out the fact I already had 2 daughters. I apologized and told her that I couldn't take them in right now, but I would send her some money to help out while they have the girls. If we hadn't just brought him home, I would have taken the girls in, but Laura and I had already decided that we didn't want any guests for the first few weeks, and I had told Emma this. He is referring to his children as guests.
Guests, yeah. What a douche.
Right? Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse. While Emma was in the hospital, the girls stayed with my sister-in-law and my brother. So it's not his ex-wife's sister, it's his brother's wife. So his brother is the one who's taking care of his kids. Anyway, another night before they went to stay with Emma's husband's parents. So not even like his parents, like the stepfather's parents are taking care of the children.
Yikes.
While the baby was in hospital, because Emma and her husband were spending most of their time at the hospital, they were cared for a lot by Emma's in-laws or my sister-in-law and brother. After a week or so, a week,
Jeez.
Laura and I offered to take the girls, but they told us they didn't want to stay because we were more focused on our son. It did feel like they were just parroting what they had heard from the adults around them, though admittedly with the sleepless nights, I did forget some things, such as the video call with the girls.
That's a douche.
Right? After the baby came home and everything settled down with Emma, she sent me a long email in the middle of the night explaining that she was disappointed in my actions and thought that I would see this as a medical emergency and I wouldn't need to be asked to take them in. I told her that we had just had our son and I had to think about his needs as well, especially when there was plenty of people around them to take care of them. Emma's told me that any communication is now to go through the lawyer because she's fed up of dealing with me and is going to take me to court to get full custody instead of 50-50. I don't think it was unreasonable to not take them in given we had just had a baby. Laura wants me to fix it as we can't afford my child maintenance more than doubling if Emma gets full custody. Am I the asshole for not taking my daughters in?
I mean, I think you're the asshole for more than just that.
Right? First of all, the fact that he keeps referring to it as taking them in, like they're stray animals or something.
You're caring for your children. Yeah.
Those are your fucking kids.
If you didn't want them, then you shouldn't have had them.
Like, and
they're your responsibility, not your sister-in-laws or your ex-sister-in-laws, stepfathers, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow. And like the fact that he refers to them as guests.
Yeah.
Those are your fucking kids, bro. Like, okay, way to ruin your relationship with your children.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, moving on to the next one. So this one is I can't figure out where I should move. And I said, Austin is a really great option if you're looking for somewhere that has a lot of those things. Only thing with Austin is you also get the terrible politics that are included in Texas. It sounds like you may have your mind set on East Coast though. Boston and NYC are a little harder to have a car in, so if that really is something you are interested in, pay attention to your living situation and make sure there is either parking included or you can rent a space. If you are willing to look on the West Coast, California has a ton of options and the outdoors and water sports are basically year round. If California is not your thing, there is also Seattle and other areas on the West Coast. Now about that podcast hosts James and Sarah.
Love that.
And the next one, which was the guy or the person that purposely messed up their friend's school project. It sounds like you learned your lesson, which is a good thing. Initial thoughts were about the potential for them to revert to a previous version of the project when they found out it was messed up, but that may not have been an option on the software. Surprised they did not track down the IP address of the computer to figure out who did it. As long as you learned and bettered yourself, it sounds like this is something that was caused by something that was going on in your personal life. Now about that podcast host, James and Sarah.
I love how you keep ending it with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to end it with. And then this one about the financially unstable, we can't comment on. And then the last one I'm making a comment on is the toxic behavior normalized. So I said, love that this is under Ask Men Reddit, treating children like they are not actually people. There are a lot of people that treat children like they expect them to act a specific way without taking into account that so much of the world is new to them and they do not have the aptitude to understand something that seems common knowledge to you. Another toxic behavior would be living to work, not working to live. Now about that, podcast host James and Sarah.
Fantastic. Wow, we're really smart.
I mean, I think we have a lot of good insights, but the other one I didn't post anything. You are president of the earth. What's your first executive order? I did not post anything. Well, do you have any fun plans for the weekend? I know you said you have at 6, you have something going on.
Yes, I'm meeting Nick's mom and his grandparents this evening.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes, I'm very excited. We're all gonna have dinner and hang out, and I'm nervous but also excited. Other than that, school started back up this week, so I have homework I gotta get finished.
Yeah, I have homework that I need to do after this. I have to write a paper that's due tonight, it's actually a PowerPoint presentation, so I might actually not even do it on my computer, my Mac. I might do it on my work computer because it's easier to work on PowerPoint presentation on a PC than it is Mac. Yeah. I don't like the way that the Macs you do it on a Mac. And then I have a discussion board post that I have to do. Other than that, I'm done with this class.
Woot woot. I have recognized that I love learning, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want to be here, but I don't want to be here.
Yeah. I have right now I still have a 97 in my class currently.
Nice.
And I think we got 100% on our last group assignment. So
there you go.
As long as I do this stuff and get it done and get it done properly, I should still have at least a 95-ish, depending on how they grade.
That's good.
We'll see. Well,
I'm in government, U.S. government, so I think this is going to be rough.
Especially in Texas. My next class is research, something to do with research, proper research techniques or something like that. It's boring. All right. Ready to call it a day?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Now About That with James and Sarah. Please like, comment, follow, and subscribe if you like this episode. Please leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. If you did not like this episode, piss off. We don't care. Feel free to follow us on social media. Our Instagram handle is @NowAboutThatPod. And if there's something specific you would like us to talk about on the podcast, feel free to email us at nowaboutthatpod@gmail.com. Also, probably before the next episode, we may have a website.
Woot woot!
I started working on it and I got the business checking account. I got the card for the account.
Ooh.
So I can sign up and make our website and then launch it before the next episode, hopefully.
Woot!
But thanks again for listening. We hope you have a great week since this will be coming out on a Monday. And Sarah, have a great weekend.
You as well.
We will talk to you all in the next episode.
Hasta la vista, babies.
Bye.